live. We back. We have a great show today, and it's going to be. Dang, somebody want to talk like me. That's just playing. But nah, thank y'all for tuning in. This is Dynasty the podcast show. I'm your host Ira Bush. I just want to say thank y'all for tuning in. We being consistent. It's a big day. It's game day for me. For my youngest, my nephew or slash son, whichever one y'all just mess with you. Nah, for real though, my he returns to the court. He been on vacation, so we got the team is complete. We want to know the team that we're playing today supposedly is the best team in the league. So we got a big task today, but I got confidence in my players. It's gonna be big. Hopefully, they develop chemistry enough to beat these teams. When we scrimmage them, we got pretty much beat pretty bad. We didn't score a lot of points. They put a lot of pressure on us. We turned the ball over. The top player on that team had a layup line on us the whole time, but I think we improved drastically knowing each other's weaknesses and strengths and everybody's assignment on the team. So, I'm happy. Like I told y'all, one of my favorite things to do besides, this doing this, like this talking about, what's going on in adult life and what's going on in the world is exciting to me. Also, it's a more serious excitement, but also coaching is my, it give me that passion to continue to go. So, I'm out there, sharing light on the sport. I can't claim that I'm the best basketball player, but I do proclaim that I'm one of the best coaches. And that's in any sport that I ever put my, step on the field and with the teaching these, the youth and the prep, I'm one of the best ever. So I do claim that. I never, I don't go, I don't know, I don't remember a day that a coach outcoached me. I might have a day off, but off day, but I don't remember a coach out coaching me on the practice field, on the game days, none of that. I don't remember. So, and I've been doing this since my 16th year, and I did a lot of volunteer work 2 or 3 years prior to that before I became a full adult of helping youth. So, I was always prepared for this. I've been around people like that my whole life. So, I ain't never, I ain't half stepping at any point on that tip. So, I'm hyped. I got to see what this team, we played them more than once. We played each team, I think, twice. So, before the playoffs. So it's like, you got to see how it pans out then, and then like, in a week or two, it's football season should be starting. So, I'm about to get full time. I go crazy on football. So, not crazy in a bad way, but like, that really hypes me, and I'm just happy I'm back on the field. That's all I can say. Like, it's been like I say since I've been full time, it's been because COVID definitely that 2 year period messed up. It made it longer, you know what I'm saying? But I definitely helped a lot still. I did basketball right before COVID. I won that championship. I helped, 2 years before that, 2019, 2018, I helped 2 prep schools. So I wasn't full time, just didn't commit because I didn't like the situations. I ain't dissing them. I don't really care what they got going on. I ain't really dissing. I'm just saying they didn't treat me to the they didn't treat a person that, I didn't feel like I was getting treated properly. So I didn't have to be in those situations. I removed myself from those situations. And I'm pretty sure both of those programs landed on their feet how they landed. I don't really know what's going on with them. But, like I said, then COVID happened. And then 2022, I went back to school. I went to school the last few years I've been in school, just getting my recalibrating how I want to lay it out as a coach, as a person in the community, and continue to work towards developing, continue to I had a nonprofit called Elite Youth Association. And it should be a viable LLC still. I gotta get a trademark and all that, but that comes with funding and resources. So I'm speaking on it because I want to actually continue that, even if I got to change it up, get a new set of people. Because the people that I depend, not talking about family, I'm talking about the few people that I had included, they wasn't as committed as me. So they might not be seeing, they might see this and think, I don't really care. Everybody have their own lives, but I'm not on that fake. I'm not. I'm more on the say of like, I didn't do this. I didn't. This wasn't an overnight thing. This wasn't no gimmick. This wasn't no, like, I'm really in this. I'm really in the. I'm at the top of this preparatory, this youth community outreach situation. Like, y'all not even. You got to come ready. So me and my sister have children, and they both still, and all our children are in the. They ain't even in the high school level yet. So they getting up there. So it ain't no rush, but it's also, I want them to experience. I think they try to time it up for our kids not to get the success of, or get the direct. They try to make, especially when you take the long route, you're not as famous as these people who drop money into these buildings and facilities and don't be there all the time. And I put real, like, I have real passion to like help where I lay my own head, wherever area I'm in. I'm in Florida. I put a lot of energy in it, so it's gonna come to fruition. And I don't know. It's on the pace of when I get my real big breakthrough, and the jealousy and hate stops at a certain get cut off at the top. You know what I'm saying? And everything fall into place when you cut the head of that snake, or that hate energy that you have to go through with somebody like me. So, and they don't know where, I don't know exactly, but I have an idea. And people will point the blame here or there, but they throw the energy over here, over there. I don't really entertain that. So, hopefully everything will get worked out. Just me being consistent on speaking my life into existence, not nobody else, what they thinking, how they control my own energy, or my person, me as an entity or being. They don't really have no strength on that. And I love my family, so hopefully everybody can still eat how they want to eat and fulfill what they fulfilling. But it's my time to shine on what my goals is. I can't really stop what I'm finna do. I don't think COVID happening again no time soon. If it does, it's gonna be something made up. If people ain't catching on to that, that's gonna be out of nowhere again. If they ain't catch on, because the information that came out, that they expected to be another type of thing happening, but I don't put that type of energy in the atmosphere. So I'm predicting it not to happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the side. I didn't fall in line when they wanted everybody to shoot themselves up with random vaccines, and I ain't stating that I'm in the sick, man. I ain't claiming none of that. I ain't faking sick. I ain't acting sick. I ain't none of that. No, it ain't no act over here. So just keep your I suggest to go about it you know look into natural healing. I suggest those things. Talk to the right people, the healing type of people, the healing type of speakers. Put that type of energy in your life. I wouldn't point you to that type of direction. Yeah, I know how I feel about this stuff called religion. When you read that, when you get the same story in the Bible over and over, you realize they've been backwards talking you the whole time. So when you speak and you get that type of, you read that book, you got to make sure you transforming it for it to be a real light. Don't live that book. You got to live your life still, but look at it as like a guide, or some type of, just like you read a book that people write. It's just the same, about the same. When you read somebody else's story, it's like a section in that Bible and somebody writing their life story. And depending on how much they lived or how much they experienced, you kind of get that hand in hand once you start being more of an intellectual thinker or speaker, or you start thinking big, or you born with big ideas or dreams, or you feel like you have more to give or more to say. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now today we're gonna, like my intro was a little bit longer, but we're gonna go. I talked to y'all. We be talking about the Iran Israel situation. I always take a diss at the fact that we actually are involved in the Russia and the Ukraine war. Supposedly, I don't know how that's not United States, but we supposedly are. I don't know. I don't have that intel, and I don't have the intel why we involved in Iran and Israel now. But these all them people are in America already. So what they issue is they gonna have to go back to their country and handle their own situations on their turf and with they chief in command over there. And then the person that's supposed to be running our country need to focus on what we need and how we need to develop and how we need to stay in command of this area and this whole presence and working out a great situation with Canada and work out the people right underneath us in Mexico over here on this side in the Texas and how them borders working. We need to focus on that perimeter first. The whole North, then you focus on North America. You gotta do it in steps. We ain't stun this country, we ain't stun it. Then you already know that they say we tied to O in Asia, we tied to O in Africa, and you need to work on your and I'm pretty sure it might be other continents and countries, but you need to work on your after you get this in order, then you need to work on them big continents and the countries inside the continents. Make sure they all good standing because you can't put tariff on China and think they're not gonna retaliate in Asia. That's a whole continent. That's a whole group of people that you don't upset and you just we ain't doing it no more. Sorry, my bad. You know what I'm saying? Nah, you already done trying to dent they whole little way of how they trade over here. They got family over here depending on these certain things. So, when you make these statements and you do all this boasting and boosting, it ain't a good look for people that's trying to make an honest living or trying to just make a living. Period. So now that's my little spiel on that whole situation. If I'm thinking in a bigger presence or bigger. Now let's get down to the smaller local type of situations. I could have went to yesterday and today. I could have went to the Broward school boards. Like I said, I went to the little church ceremony. I call it a ceremony. That's how I feel. The little energy to grab and pull in these religious sites. Um, I went there last Sunday, so I didn't feel the need to go. I can't really entertain Broward because Broward is a whole zone of fraud, and they sold out at the biggest way with the type of people that's in these counties. No, they not in a bad. It don't have to be a bad way. I could say they sold to a certain group of people. They got their own way of living. They've been setting it up for a long time. I've been in Tallahassee, so I understand how a whole city. And Tallahassee is considered the capital of Florida. But if you go up there for long enough, and I'm not dissing them in no kind of way, they have everything set in like a line, like a straight line. And you when you sign your child up to participate in the city activities, they got it city activities. They ain't no side deal, side hustle. They got to go through the city. So I don't mind that kind of discipline over there. The two big schools, FAMU, Florida State, they run it and they do a lot of the community college there. They work a lot with I wouldn't call them offshore schools, but they have a lot of communications with other colleges at Florida State at called satellite colleges. And they do a lot of deals over there. It's international as well. So over there in that area, it's very like it's a mixed bag over there. So just you go there with the right mindset, you can be successful in talent for sure. And FAMU is a historically black college, so it's a lot of tradition, a lot of history. I have family that graduated from that college, so all this stuff is like it's important to I'm from this area, so from this state, so I gotta make sure if I polish it, I'm gonna make sure it's some respect about how I speak about where I'm from. Not then it's perfect. I don't agree with how the head of command is with the senators and governors here, and then the secretary of state is originally a senator. I think he was originally a senator of Florida. I think he still obtained his title but he got called up to work in the cabinet of who's our president right now. So, all this stuff is like they got to make sure they stand on point and not get distracted by trying to get to another level of politics and not forget and then forget their job and then make sure they have a proper replacement. Make sure they got stuff in good standings. Make sure what they said out their mouth, they got to actually fulfill those duties and not be out here halfway doing it. And then that's my biggest thing. I don't see these people until it's time to talk about something petty. Like we have hurricane season every year. You think I care about you coming out to speak? We already got the blueprint on how to protect ourselves. Now your job is to make sure the lights come on an hour within every city, every town. You make sure you just do that. Make sure this water get dried out. Make sure you have some kind of special machine to suck up the places that get flooded. Make sure you communicate with off distance states next to us that can help us. All that need to be done without you bragging and boasting about it. We don't care. This is a yearly routine. So I can do what you do. So make sure you actually make sure when we ain't got these type of times that you checking in with your mayors in every city and every town that they properly distributing these resources to me or to other coaches and to other teachers and to other community centers, like to your libraries. Make sure they have stuff coming in all the time consistently. I don't want to hear nothing about go buy all the water up at Publix and Walmart. We already underwater. We're in the hurricane. Like, what does that have to do with anything? You could boil that when it dry up. You could put it in the thing, hold your can out. This is probably more better than the plastic water that's been sitting on the shelf for 3 years. So that's all I'm just saying. So I'm probably a little bit long-winded, but let's get to we're gonna hear Representative Al Green talk about this was last month, and then I'm gonna let you hear what he said yesterday when they went to the NATO summit. They got all this. They got a big summit going on. The president's over there, a lot of representatives over there. Then I'm gonna break down the remainder. Try to break down the remainder of those the executive orders. I think we got 4 more. If we get to 3 of them, it's gonna be. It's been this week has been. I've been detailed. Whatever I'm speaking on, I've been very detailed. So, I don't want to keep y'all longer than an hour on this show. And I'm trying to make sure not trying to, but I'm actually have stuff to say. So let's get to we're gonna listen to Representative Al Green. I like hearing him speak. I let y'all hear, y'all commander who y'all voted for to sit up there and represent the whole United States of America. And then I'm gonna let y'all hear somebody that's been actually trained and went to school and talked to judges and lawyers on a consistent basis. People retired, people that's still in it, has great standing. No matter what his cheerleading team goes out there and go against him, he still has real people that's behind him. He definitely has the people behind him that's sitting here trying to figure out why we even listening to somebody trying to start a war, trying to call a shot, and then you diss him the next day within a week and a half later, which is backwards. So which side are you? Why should we stand behind you? You trying to cause a whole kind of war. It gonna end up being on us at the end. When they finish blowing each other up, they're gonna be like, who started this? Bing, 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 bing. Your hand is at both sides of these pots. They gonna blame you. And nobody want to be on that side when you get blamed at the end. Because you know what happened? You remember when you was little and they said the last person get caught? That's usually how it is. You went first and you still went kind to go last. So we're going to listen to what he said like it was a month ago. Well, actually, it was like 4 months ago. This is when he started talking about impeachment. And I don't have enough of, when you have that inner circle up at the top, I'm just reporting on stuff. And he's still speaking the same way. And his message is consistent. So I can't just poo-poo what this guy is saying. He actually has a lot going on. We actually have put somebody with felonies and misdemeanors that he consistently is telling everybody, but people have put this man in position. And it looks bad because he's at this the UN meeting at the NATO commitment or whatever they're calling it. And it's all these different countries. All these people are basically, he can't leave the country. You know what I'm saying? Without looking over his shoulder because he done this country, kiss this dude. You know what I'm talking about? Like when I say kiss, I mean like basically like dissed them, started hating. I be saying stuff down. You know, I'm just thinking that I could compartmentalize, not put too much, but I'm just move on and let y'all listen and let them speak. This is in February. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, y'all know how I am with keywords that I do not know. So the word that I seen there, I gotta find that word. Hold on, I'm still here. I'm not in. I'm moving. Y'all ain't got the frozen screen. I gotta find that word dastardly. I want to spell it correctly now. Y'all know how I am with words. That is a keyword in the government that they do not use. That is a word that I will know today. Dastardly. Ooh. Dastardly means wicked and cruel. So I didn't know what it means, so I had to make sure I know what it means today. But no, for real. What he been saying since February, that's when he started. Let's like making sure he cannot impeach this man unless the checks and balances that the people that they other than the president have put it that we put in place and voted to put in place. We have to come against this guy and say we do not want him to represent us anymore because he has the notion that once he got this position that he could do what he wants, he could say what he wants, he could put everybody in danger except himself and his family and his cabinet. And the cabinet definitely don't feel safe. I don't know how you figure that, but they don't feel safe because they gotta go to their own states and live and have protect their whole tribe and family. You know what I'm talking about? So it's not correlating up here when it ain't adding up. So he representing everybody and the representation don't it's not everybody not in agreement. once you starting wars, you gotta suit up yourself. You know, like you seen those movies when the king, when there's a guy that's in the background starting all the putting all that poison out there in the atmosphere, all that negativity, and then he huddled up with the females and the children, and he already done started. He over here playing both sides. That's the type of character he giving out to the world. So I think it's stuff in place. We have a real military, but a lot has went on with them trying to the way America wants to treat the strongest. It's actually hampers. If they wouldn't have tried to control the strongest in this world, we would have no issue with in the military. Let's put it like that. But they want to control, they want to transfer, they want to fake and funk, they want to put it on a movie, they want to boast. Like these people not really built that way. So you know what I'm saying? You gotta really live and you gotta really be born with it. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all once y'all get everybody get to America and realize what it is. So it ain't all good, and it definitely ain't all bad. It ain't even close to all bad. I would not diss America like that. It's just that they got a lot of sweet tendencies out here that they need to put in the game. So and you can't once you're a man you become a full grown adult and you develop mentally the capacity to have understanding and you know what it is. So yeah, that was his first. I'm gonna let y'all listen to what he said yesterday now. So, like I said, I'm gonna read the rest of the what you call it, and we're gonna talk about sports. Cause I don't play. I said my focus is this. What's going on in the now when it comes to being an adult. I can't play around with it. If that makes sense to anybody, if they let me see this clip title, "We're not created by C. Oh, I got it. I got it pulled up. Though. I don't know if he's talking exactly about what he's speaking on, but a lot of this stuff is important for him. Like the stuff he puts out, he only comes to speak. This is for I think he's trying to, he's giving everybody a bone to get gravitate. I don't think it was strictly about the impeachment. I don't think that's not even got enough ground for him to continue to say because when he goes in there, he's by himself. So that means a lot of people are still intimidated by him being the president. It's only been less than it haven't been a year, and the fact that he put that article out, that means he knows way more than he's actually saying. So he just putting it out there so people can understand. Do your research, be ready and prepared because I got my paperwork here. I got my people out in the whole world that has this much information, that much information. But we're gonna let this 5 minute speak, and then we're gonna go right into talking about what the executive orders that our commander of this country supposedly, what he went writing and signing off to. So we're gonna see. Wow. I feel like, I ain't gonna look. What I've been saying, I don't have the. I would say the new word now is clout. Is it's happened in the 2020s. The word is like the in the political world is him with these, everybody, the inner circle up there. So when they speak on these things that I've been talking about, like just we haven't got our house in a mule like properly. Even if they gave 2 people and they're supposed to give it to 10,000 people, and then they want to, and then the people that they did give, they started stealing. They started making up rules. They started taxing all kind of stuff that was unnecessary that didn't help everybody else. Then you got the Tulsa bombing. You got a lot of jealous. It's like he was saying, like right after that century of enslavement, all these people were still prejudiced, Ku Klux Klan members. They all were mad, and then you got that movie that just came out when over there in Georgia, when they was still having these people in the enslaved mentality, thinking they had to stay on their land. They was hunting them when they go past a certain line. Then they finally broke free. Everybody driving their cars in the 1970s. Everybody they 100 years behind what everybody else was on. So, it's just like after being left, because some people didn't release their slaves. They kept them enslaved. They kept them on a little small town. They traveled out here. They thought it was just a little area because they were born, and then it was still like you can only go past this line. And then like it'd be like 1 or 2 of their family members. Like if you go there, like you're gonna die. Like what I'm saying. So the movie that came out recently, like they come in and they came out with that movie like 2 or 3 years ago. I forgot what it was called, so I don't want to talk like I'm on point, but it just really like this stuff happens still probably in its own special way. They definitely are doing it technology way. They really want to attack our children's mind, but we speak to our children every time they wake up, so it's very hard for them, especially my family. In my family, we speak to our children for real, so they not really like we not shielding from them from what the new way of trying to enslave. Like we're not really, we stay here, so we have to still enjoy what we can. We have to, we still, if you think about it, being under 50 years old is still pretty young of developing. You still have to raise your children, so it's still tough for us. And we still got young children. We still young in certain manners, and we gonna develop. Just back and forth, having the information, doing your own research, traveling. You will have a better understanding. You can get your understanding the whole way you want to live. So that's pretty much it. Now. I got pretty much the gist of the tippy top of the, what's going on. I'm not going to feed into that Iran Israel stuff. He spoke on it. This Israel stuff we're defending Israel, and he literally was talking about why there's a hole in our system because we're supporting the wrong group of people, and it's putting us in a bad situation overall because we started out supporting Israel. Then yesterday he said we're not supporting either one. Basically, we over here playing, or we trying to see who's going to win that battle to pick a side, which is Iran has a way bigger country than Israel. So the bad thing, they might have less supplies, but that's what they was probably trying to do is forge a type of system to protect themselves. So I don't know. I don't know. I can't really speak on those things. So, but let's continue. Let's get to our executive orders review or breakdown. Executive order breakdown of what they're calling it. The executive order is called this executive order is called sustaining select efforts to strengthen the nation's cybersecurity and amending executive order 13694 and executive order 14144. Now this is basically an executive order to, like they said, strengthen to people probably not going. They needed more details. They needed more support. So he redid something and put it on top. This is the issue I have. This is a consistent issue that I have with this whole. It's like you stacking. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if it was my mom or grandmother or my dad. It's like stacking shit on top of shit type of situation. And I don't really want to go into the details. I would if I had time. I don't want to keep everybody. I want to talk sports, but you got you got an executive order trying to support two executives, two different orders. You trying to combine. That don't make sense. So let's read it out. It's not that long. It's not that long. So we're gonna read it. But they basically made it so they could support other executive orders. And it says, by the authority, section amendments, executive, strengthening and promoting innovation in national cybersecurity, hereby amended by. So they don't really have a purpose. The only purpose was for that. Y'all read the title. Was to strengthen Executive Order 13694 and Executive Order 1444. So I'm gonna try to read. I'm gonna read these two. Blocking property of certain persons engaged in significant malicious cyber-enabled activities. I, Barack Obama. Bing, 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 bing. I ain't even finna play with y'all when I said that. This man wrote an executive order to piggyback off Barack Obama. Now, I can't lie. This term, he is not dissed Barack Obama that much. But when he was running for this term, he did. He should not even open his mouth. I don't know if he be acting when he be saying some stuff. Do you remember that he was dissing this man on Twitter? Like his family, children. I wasn't even there. I wouldn't even want to get a advice. I wouldn't even want to get a video clip of advice from Barack Obama. This man wrote a whole executive order piggybacking off his executive order. And this man didn't waste his pen when he was in office. This is one thing I do know. He didn't waste his tone and he didn't waste his pen. And this probably was a very important executive order, so he had to reiterate it. So I'm just like, it comes full circle. We've been combating, we've been trying to compete, but you could have just piggybacked and grew from the jump. You could have literally had the type of people that follow Donald Trump and the type of people that follow Barack Obama are coming from two opposite perspectives. But they both are not Pope. You know what I'm talking about? And they definitely not Pope-minded. And definitely had a wife that was really outside. You know what I'm saying? So, and very intelligent. So, and they had two females. So the house was pretty intelligent. I can tell you that from just watching it. And we all know how America is when you get in those upbringing. Like, how y'all all got here? That's how it be. And then just watching it, you could tell that's how it was. You see how he was young, and he was in Chicago doing his job. And he had the people, the vibration. Then he had here over here. He got to do all the work. Got to make sure his family good. His wife family good, and they got big family. They can't even talk to him about what. You know how it went. And he did his 2 terms. He signed back up. He did his job. He put his vice president in position. He didn't come outside after the 4 years, but he did. He put him in position to go ahead and do what he was supposed to do, and he did what he did. Now, unfortunately, he couldn't do another term, and he didn't do that good. So they put the guy that was in that replaced him the first time, and you see how it goes. So we're gonna read it. I, Barack Obama, President of the United States of America. I guess this is our quarter point of president again. So I'm okay with that. Increasing. This is the funniest thing I told y'all I'll start reading stuff before I put it online. So this is like this is a full circle moment right here. We shouldn't even be having a debate. Everything that Barack Obama said, everything should go back the way he said. I would not piggyback on nobody after this big family. That's crazy to me. That's wild. Like, let's read it out. It wasn't even a long one. It was like, so just go by the sections. There wasn't even no purpose of it. It just do what I say. And he wasn't doing it because this is what needed to be done for everybody. So let's just read it. Prevalence and security of malicious cyber-enabled activities originating from a direct by persons located in whole or substantial part outside the United States Constitution and a usual extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with this threat. According to hereby, and then he talks about the steps we need to do, and y'all gotta read the sections, and there's so many sections in our Constitution now that is getting outrageous. This executive order was originally signed in April 25th. No, was he even in office then? 2000, yeah, 20 April 20. This is right here when he was leaving. So I already told y'all he did not waste no pen. April 1st, 2015 is when this executive order was printed out, put it out here for everybody to see. And this is what I be saying. And it's a lot in between. So I suggest y'all look it up. It's 10 sections, and that was the purpose of, is going back to cyber security, is going back to putting people bullying and committing fraud, stealing people's personal information, social security, birth certificates, lying. All this stuff is what he was trying to at the end, because he put all these little things, and then they went, oh, we you are our slaves. Your grandparents was, what I'm saying? They went to doing that type of tactics in his tenure, and it's coming full circle because now he got to come do the same type of cleaning up in his tenure. And these people want to take advantage because they know the rules when you're a United States American, then you go out and be a white European immigrant from the United States America. You get paid in a lot of countries with a white face. And the same, Africa, if you have good standards in the United States, you could go to Africa in certain places and you could get some land and you could start over, but it's still tough. They have a lot of war over these areas. They have made it that way. And I'm not saying now it ain't even a lot of, I don't know if it's physical or gunfight or not. Like it could be, but I'm like I said, I have to do my own research with speaking even into detail on that. But that's what they put out. That's the propaganda what they put out. I don't even think it's that bad, but they put that out when we was talking about the South African president came over here, and they was talking about their in the details what was going on, and they said it so like nonchalantly that it's like sounded normal, but it's because it's land. It's because it's a scarce of certain resources in certain areas, water. They'll drop. They got all kind of systematic ways to drop these people, make them go against each other. So it's all it's still normal. It's societal issues in every part of the world. So I ain't that naive. So, but we're gonna continue, man. Like I said, after that trip, I'm glad I read into that. I ain't gonna. I'm gonna do the other three tomorrow. I'm gonna read this other executive, then we're gonna move on. I'm supposed to talk sports today, but like I said, I'm in my mind. I'm in my whole bag when it comes to this. And this is basically going back into what he wrote on the policy for this. It's strengthening. This is policy. Executive order 14144, and this was This was the one. This is one of the ones he wrote, or it could be Biden. Whenever he got out, I think it was when he got. So he reiterated. So he basically he's going directly at. I'm gonna read it to you. Advisory countries and criminals continue to conduct cyber campaigns targeting the United States of Americans and the People's Republic of China, representing the most active and persistent cyber threat to the United States government, private sector, and criminal infrastructure networks. These campaigns disrupt and delivery of critical service across the nation, cost billions of dollars, and undermine American security and privacy. More must be done to improve national cybersecurity against these threats. Building a foundational steps and direct in Executive Order 14028, May 12, 2021, improving national cybersecurity. An initiative detailed the national cybersecurity strategy, ordering additional action to improve our nation's cybersecurity and focusing on defending the digital infrastructure and securing the service and capabilities of the most vital and detailed domain and building our capability to address key threats, including those from the People's Republic of China, improving accountability from software and cloud service providers, and strengthening the security of federal communications and identifying management systems and promoting initiative developments and the use the emerging technologies of cybersecurity across the executive departments and agencies, and with the private sector and especially critical improvement of national cybersecurity. So, like I said, the executive order is called Strengthening and Promoting Innovation of Nations Cybersecurity. Now, it's basically a detail of why we got to go against China and why we have to improve our security. And this is basically what I've been talking about the new way of spiritual warfare and technology warfare and all that stuff going hand in hand. They got some whole high level stuff that they never going to tell us about. We were way behind the eight ball in technology. You know, with China and Africa probably know so way more. You know what I'm saying? They know way more. When they attacked us, when they came and attacked, when America came and attacked those countries, continents, continents, they didn't. Oh, I don't know how they didn't think they was going to win. There was that many people. It is that big. I don't know if the propaganda is like there's so many people here filled with the propaganda that they was going to actually win against those continents. It's kind of confusing that they could think that I'm trying to my best. I don't want to sound neutral. I don't want to sound like I'm against, but I'm not going to agree because we don't get treated properly here anyways. And that's why I played y'all what Representative Al Green was saying. The people that were enslaved, the people, and this is when they signed the agreements to start institutions for the Native Americans, which was already combined with African descendant people because they was first to help. You know, we was hiding with them because they looked similar to us. We have similar understanding of those that ran and got freed, and it was already free African descendant people here. You know what I'm saying? And they started enslaving people, like he said. You know, all this stuff is known history. So I just don't get it. Like, once you put all this stuff together, they have to make sure they properly take care of the right people if they want to actually have a country worth something. And yeah. So all right, we get done talking about, it's three more I gotta talk about tomorrow. But that's basically talking about three. Then we got three more to go over tomorrow. Now, for a lighter news today. And like I said, this is gonna run definitely over an hour today. We went in. Well, we might make it in. Let's report. I got, it's been trades in the NBA. Like I said, the NBA draft is today, starts today in the evening. So it's a big day. To go over the quickly, the draft, the first one was okay, let's go into the KD one to break down that one. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, in the KD draft, the Rockets got Kevin Durant, and the Suns got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and this year's 10th overall pick, and 5 future second round picks. So getting somebody that's in their mid 30s to late 30s, and Kevin Durant ain't gonna give you Nick because KD's still a Hall of Famer, still one of the greatest scorers ever. I'll put him at the second best power forward ever, at the second best small forward ever to play in my eyes. I think Julius Erving is slightly better than him because his athletic ability, he still had a jumper. They didn't have a 3-point shot like they did. They wasn't practicing that, but his jumper was smooth. He definitely played a little bit longer. He definitely won championships. He had star players with him, but if you know the history of NBA, he was right before Magic and Larry Bird. They played together, but you know what I'm saying. He was a little bit before them, and he helped definitely pioneer the league. And I'm watching him. I watched a couple of his hardwood classes. They didn't show as much as they did Magic when I was watching the hardwood classes. I'm definitely a bigger Laker fan, so I watched all these stuff when I was younger. I sit in front of the TV before everybody get home. That was, like I said, all my friends older than me, So when middle school I was 3 hours. I'm watching baseball, hardwood classic foot, right there in front of that old school colored TV my mom had. So I remember this like the back of my hand. This man used to be on TV in the 2000s. I'm watching his games then. So yeah, but KD's definitely one of the greatest ever to step the court. And I'm not saying KD that you probably can't beat him. You could shoot from half court. So like 1-on-1 situation, I'm just picking it off, building a team and building in a similar like comparison, athletic ability, the type of team I need everybody to be able to shoot, drive, and he can do all these things. Crossover, KD, one of the greatest ever, coldest offensive players ever. If not, it's not that many people that could say they're better than him at offensive side. So, and then his defense have definitely improved, but he's had injury issues the last few years. He switched teams. I think if he would have stayed at OKC, they probably would have definitely won. I don't know how many championships if he would have stayed down. So, he probably would have won more than 2 that he got. But he did what he had to do. The league was changing, the type of teams that they were developing and getting. He would have he wouldn't. He didn't win in his prime. When you're younger, you think a different way. So it's all good. But I'm happy he's coming to the South. I could probably sneak in. I haven't watched enough basketball games. I've been to plenty of baseball games. I've been to a couple football games. So I gotta get. Like I said, the resources will help. I have a group of kids go with me in my centers and stuff that I be thinking about. That should happen all the time. Normally, just the stuff that's going on up here is like, why we try to commit? We need to focus on enjoying this what we got. So it'd be like you could think super big, then you think about your city, your town, your kids, your children, and how you can have fun and enjoy their upbringing. Just some small stuff like that. So but that's it for that breakdown. I think if I'm breaking it down, Houston got better. Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green. Jalen Green was the second overall pick. They gave up a lot of draft picks, so I think Houston want to go for the push to win a championship next year. I think it's a good spot. I'll cross my fingers and hope that man stay healthy. And he's still one of the greatest. I see him in his workouts all the time on TikTok. He does his updates. You know what I'm saying? So I know when you're a coach, you don't want to watch too hard when somebody go off all them injuries. But he's a tough competitor. He comes back every year and put his effort in. He don't cry about those things. He still get paid greatly. That's his job. Hopefully he stays healthy. I know he got a great support system. So, I definitely think, they both teams won. You get a 10th overall pick, you can get a superstar. So, that's big. So Houston, it was pretty even trade. It was even. Suns lost a lot of games. I think they at the top of the draft if they didn't trade it away. I can't remember what pick they got. They definitely in the top of the draft. So they got some. They gonna add on to a young team. They have to hit on their picks though. They got to hit on their draft picks. If you get picks in the top 10, you got to hit on those. So I'm gonna watch the draft like everybody else. I'll try to watch. I got my own basketball game. I'm gonna have to rush back over to watch half of it at least. And yeah, so with the I give for 5 future second round picks. This year's 5 first pick. I said first rounds, but it was 5 future second round picks in this year's first round. I think they gave up, but it was an even split. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks is a great defender, good shooter. Jalen Green got a lot of athletic ability. He plays a lot of inconsistent basketball. That's what Bradley Beal's issue is. They got Devin Booker. They got similar players over there already with that player's position. I think they could trade. I don't know about trading. I would. I don't like how much Bradley Beal gets paid for him to be so inconsistent. I know he's coming off a lot of injuries. I don't know how I'm not hating on nobody. He got his contract. That's not the issue. He got paid. So I'm speaking from an X's and O's, an analyst position. I don't nobody in the league. The man was on this type of trajectory, and then the injuries definitely put him down a notch or two in his development of being a leader and being a consistent winner. So I ain't dissing you, young fella or young man. I hate no. I want you to get another $50 million contract extension, plus years. God bless you and your family. So when I say these things, I'm not dissing you on your money. But hopefully you get back to full strength. I have not liked the way you contributed at the Suns. So I think you need to find a place where you could get you could still be a 20 consistent 25-point scorer and get back into at least being a second tier superstar and help him win a championship. So, my position, I think I'll say he need to look into being on the Sacramento Kings or something. They might need a scorer, get a trade over there and could finish, try to revive your career or something. That would be a suggestion. Devin Booker is overrated defensively. He doesn't play. He scores well consistently. He stays healthy. He plays. He's available. So keep him. Him and Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks would be a good backcourt. Just him, Dylan being a defender on the 3-man, and them guys playing off each other. Devin Booker could play point. Jalen Green could play point. They could just do 2-mans. Then they get their big man in the draft, and then they got another high pick. They got some pieces over there. Second round pick. They should be able to develop something. So Suns, I think it was, and the Rockets gave up a lot. So the Rockets are ready to win. They got a lot of pieces last year in the draft. They got a young bull over there that's hungry. So I think Rockets will be okay. I think Suns will be okay if they listen to the stuff that I just said. I said the Kings, meaning they got a lot of pieces that they need, and I think Bradley Beal could be over there, and he could revive his career. So in a positive manner. So yeah. But the next one we're gonna talk about is the Pelicans and the Wizards trade they had. And the Pelicans had traded Jordan. The Pelicans received Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the 40th overall pick in this year's draft. And the Wizards got C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second round pick. Now, Jordan Poole, he had a great tenure at the Golden State Warriors, but you got to remember he had Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. Steph Curry on his team with Draymond Green, with the rest of those guys that's on the bench that are now starters and contributors at a high level. So he was just a guy that could be just as, the guy that they kept. They felt like they could still win with the people that they had, and now he's on this. Now he got a big contract. He got traded to the Pelicans. I don't know how much he's going to help. Sadiq Bey is a great defender in the interior. He has to stay healthy, make sure he staying consistent on being a great defender, throwing his 10 to 12 rebounds, actually contributing on offense at a better clip. It will help him stay on the floor probably. And with CJ McCollum, a veteran, a leader, play point guard, average 8 to 12 assists in a year. To really make a push, he need to be averaging 12 assists for them. He's a pretty good scorer, definitely consistent at the 3-point range. Kelly Olynyk, tough defender interiorly. I think this is a pretty even trade. Both. I guess his contract probably more on both sides. Jordan Poole got a longer contract than CJ McCollum, so the Wizards one of those expiring contracts, I guess. And Kelly Olynyk about the same as Sadiq Bey. I think Sadiq Bey is a little bit better. And then it's a second round pick, and it's this year. So Pelicans probably, I think they wanted somebody in the draft this year, so they wanted to get another draft pick, and I think that's why they made that trade, and they took on that contract. So it all works out for both teams. I think it's a pretty even trade. I don't see nothing extravagant until everything performs and works out for how they wanted to work out. Last night, now this was a different trade. Celtics traded Drew Holiday to the Trail Blazers, and the Celtics in return got Anthony Simons and two future second round picks. Now, the biggest thing for me, I think Drew Holiday Drew Holiday to me is, everybody is a big Drew Holiday when it comes to talking about the players that are in the broadcasting world. They all respect his leadership. They respect that the fact that he comes from a very talented basketball tree. His brothers still are in the league as, contributors. As I think one of his brothers still start or get a lot of starting time. He might be a starter this game and then coming off the bench one game, but he plays a lot. And his other brother is a little bit younger. He's still a contributor, and he's considered a very class actor for the NBA. So they like him a lot. He's a little bit older. He's been consistently a all star in the last 10 years, and he's been on winning teams around that same last 8 years. He's been on the winning program. So he's going to the Blazers. They're gonna need help. Chauncey Billups is, one of those guys that won in the league as a player, as a GM. He needed a leader. So I think him getting this type of player, he probably got a lot of similarities in their careers. And Anthony Simons didn't work out the way he wanted. I was seeing what Chauncey Billups was seeing in Anthony Simons, but he's not consistent enough. I think, and it's not a diss. I think he can develop being consistent. I think him going to the Celtics will help him being a part of a winning championship team. So I think both teams won. They gave up two second round picks, and the Blazers did because they want to actually win games. And he's definitely going to be the leader and the commander of that team. And I think that's what he was looking for. And he's probably a little bit younger, enjoying the fruits instead of locking in completely with his coach and then sacrificing that time. So he's gonna be in a whole different type of setup. Hopefully he can still get over the hump. He's gonna be around two championship players. It's gonna be more than two, but the superstars on that team have been identified at the Boston Celtics. So, he's just gonna have to get in line. You know what I'm saying? If you want to come win a championship, you gotta fall in line. So everything gonna work out for both of these trade and that trade. Hopefully he get with the program. Because I think he's talented, definitely. He just gotta commit to being a champion and a winner. The Magic one. Okay, the Magic, I know I spoke on this one. The Magic got Desmond Bain. Grizzlies got Cole Anthony, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, and 4 first-round picks. The 16th pick in this year's draft, an unprotected pick next year, and in 2028 and 2030. They also got a 2029 first-round swap. Top 2 protected. So if they get a top 2, that pick won't be going to the Grizzlies. They'll be staying with the Magic. And yeah, that's pretty much it. To be honest, the Grizzlies won this pick by miles and landslide. I don't even know. I think the Magic are confident in their team, their young team, but you gave up KCP. That guy's the locker room guy, and definitely, I don't think he was this. He had a little injury. He had injuries toward the end of the year, so they might think he is a little bit older. Can't be. He's not as dependable as Desmond Bain would be. But Cole Anthony, you see, when he got tough, and their younger players wasn't consistent in the playoff time. And, they ended up making the playoffs, through via the playing games. But he was one of those contributors, and he's a nice veteran. Then you get all those young players, all them. You got the 16th overall pick. A 16th overall pick is basically a lottery pick. The top 15 is considered lottery. So they're the first pick in front of the lottery. So then they got 2026 unprotected. That's next year. So all this stuff is crazy. They could get a superstar with that 16 pick. They already have, what's his name? I can't even think of his name. But they have a lot of talent with the Magic. They definitely gonna. I think Desmond Bain mix. Desmond Bain. I mean, Grizzlies have a super talented team already. So this was a shrewd business decision. That's one player. I don't know what the Magic, see, what Grizzlies got better. KCP is going to help Ja Morant. Cole Anthony is going to help Ja Morant. That's a backcourt. They needed backcourt help last year. And they could get them a big man. They could trade that pick. They could do all kind of stuff with the 16th pick. I don't know what they could literally trade that pick and get somebody that's a legit big man like in the league. So hey, I ain't hating on that. The Magic they trying to win. The Grizzlies are definitely going to win. With that pick, this is a great. I don't know who this is what I used to do on the game. You know what I'm saying? When I play my cousins and we all have Madden and we play or we play Madden mostly. When we had to do the drafts in like when we got into like our third or fourth seasons and we was playing like GM mode and we in GM mode, I was doing these type of picks, trades. I'm trading one player, I'm getting like 3 first round picks. I'm trying to rake it in because it's all about developing. So if you have a nice which they do in the Grizzlies, they have a nice program developing athletes and talent. So they hit on their big man actually, so they could get another big man that's like a stretch 4 or something. And they got a true Anthony. He's a true center. So shit, they could resign Stevie Adams. I think he's a free agent. I don't know what because they can go in with the Grizzlies. So they made the playoffs, but I think they're gonna get back. I think Ja being injured, he's gonna miss half a year. He got injured in the playoffs, so he could miss a lot of time next year. But yeah, the WNBA we're gonna discuss. Yesterday, I didn't get to watch the Chicago Sky game, but you seen Angel Reese 17 and 16, 6 assists, I think. Then you seen Camila Cardosa, she had 27 and I think she had a double. I don't think she had a double. She had 27 points and she had a good number of good rounds, but I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Hold on. That was the key game yesterday. Yeah, that was big. That was a lot of news. She had 18, 17 rebounds, 6 assists for her, and then Camila Cardoza had 27, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. And like I said, injuries also have 4 steals. She was balling yesterday. So both of them play like that. Those are the two teams, and then those superstar type like coming down like they have to pick it up. They have to get them more talent because I think they're being funny with these type of teams with these type of superstars. And it's a lot of superstar talent, a lot of older players, not older, but I would call them veterans. They're not older. They look. I ain't hating on you. I might run into you. I'm trying to talk to you. I ain't even playing. I'm not. I'm in a mid age, so I ain't hating on y'all. So I'm not being funny. I'm gonna be mature about it. I'm just being funny. Okay, the Indiana beat Seattle at Seattle. So that game, I didn't check the stats, but I'm gonna check that right now. Their star pairs, Neka and Gul McKay, she had 16 points and 6 rebounds. So she didn't have, the big game she wanted probably to have to beat that team. But Indiana Fever is definitely a tough competition. Skylar Diggins had 22 points, 6 assists, which is a nice outing. And Erica Wheeler had 20 points as well. That was still a close game won by Fever won on the road. And those primetime players in Indiana came to play. A lot of contribution for everybody. Aaliyah Boston had 31 points and 8 rebounds. Big game for her. She had 3 assists as well. Caitlin Clark only had 6 points. She had 3 steals, 9 assists, so she contributed being a distributor. She didn't. Her shot wasn't on, but her teammates had her. Kelsey Mitchell had 26 points, and she had a nice game contributing, picking up the slack offensively. And Lexi Hall had 15 points and 11 rebounds. So they picked up the slack. That team is very well rounded. They have a lot of talent on that team. So, I like to see that. That was a matchup right there. So those are probably two games that was, I won't, that would be probably the most interesting yesterday. Not distant the Atlanta game. Atlanta actually lost to Dallas, and Washington is picking it up. They beat Minnesota, so that's a big game. Let me check that out. I did not see that. They picked it up. Washington actually is in the playoffs right now. They have the last spot in their conference right now. So, you know, they have a very young team, Everything, like I said, Kiki I don't want to spell her name, but y'all know I'm talking about the year rookie. She had 11 points, 11 rebounds, which is, what she's supposed to be doing. Would be the top pick she was. And then the other girls, Shakira Austin, she had 19 and 8 rebounds. That's a nice outing. That's one of their, superstars on their team. They have a nice three for the full court. Not they guards, but they full court. They nice. They very nice. So they could easily beat any team any given night. So I like I'm glad they were able to beat a team like Minnesota last night. And they played it. They did it defensively. So it's gonna be tough to watch. The playoffs gonna be tough. Right now the playoffs. Right now the playoffs. Let me pull that up. Standings overall. Conference view. Okay, New York, Atlanta, Indiana, and Washington are the Eastern Conference teams that are currently in the playoffs. And Chicago's right, they 3 games in the win column behind Washington. So it's gonna be tough for them. They gotta pick up the pace. And then you got Minnesota with the best record in the league right now at 12-2. Phoenix has been hot. They won their last 5 and they've been very hot. Seattle, I definitely think they're going to make. They don't have. I don't have a doubt that team is not going to make it. They could beat any team in the league. And New York, same with them. They could beat Minnesota. They could beat any team. They're the defending champions. They're the number 1 team in the East. And Brittany Griner being over there, getting back into her full form still. If y'all remember what form she was at when she got in trouble, got her incident, and they stopped her progression. I think she even, the more she plays, every game type of situation still. It's a lot of talent in the WNBA, so I'm excited for the league. The youngest, Indiana's 3rd right now, Washington's 4th over there in the Eastern Conference. That's like, Liberty. Indiana could knock off Atlanta in the playoffs, and New York will have a tough outing. With the type of defense that Washington has already. They're developing and rounding off, and it's not even they haven't had their break yet, the All-Star break yet. So it's gonna be tough. And the Golden State Valkyrie is, they're in front of right now. They're in front of Las Vegas right now, and Las Vegas is a tough. They're gonna be fighting for that last spot in their game. Golden State Valkyries is 7-6, and Las Vegas Aces are 6-7, and Los Angeles and the Dallas Wings are, their loss column is 4 games, 5 games from Las Vegas, so they got a tough uphill battle to catch those 2 teams. And Golden State Valkyries have a tough. They have a really good coach, and they have a lot of talent on that team. They have real shooters like across the board. So it's gonna be tough. They get their defensive, make some defensive adjustments. That comes with time. They're a team that's been put together, so the inconsistency will definitely always be defensively. So they got to develop. It's a nice. The WNBA has a lot of. I see a lot of people dissing them on the type of what's going on, what's not. But this team, this is a lot of developed. These players are very young, so there's the changing on the guard happening already. It's like a baby boom in the WNBA with the talent, And I'm not dissing those people that are going to make the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about the amount of talent is a lot. It's a lot. So hopefully, and it's very competitive. Even the teams that lower like Dallas was expected to be better than they was. Los Angeles, they had a lot of injuries, so they could come on, and both of those teams could come on at the end and pick it up. And they've been losing. It's just that's how it is in the WNBA. So we're gonna see how it is, how it turns out. I already put an all-star ballot in. I might do another one. I don't want to do another. I like to do one and be honest about it. Like, some of the people I left off, they are future Hall of Famers. But Camila Cardoso is balling, so I like her picking up that points and her scoring 27. And Aaliyah Boston definitely made the first All-Star. She's definitely a pioneer of that new. She's at the top of young stars. Aaliyah Boston is for me, and I'm stating that. And I like Angie. And I like Angel Reese. I like Rakia Jackson. I like those three girls. The girl Kiki from Washington, Tough, all that, and I'm probably gonna miss somebody. Don't get mad at me. Don't stump on my head. I know y'all competitive. And if y'all watch, I know y'all might not watch, so y'all gonna have people, y'all friends or y'all family might catch a clip of somebody replaying this or something. But I ain't, hopefully y'all winning, y'all out there competing the right way. Now, I'm already hour 20. I'm deep in today. But I said I was gonna break down some sports. I was gonna break down. Now this is gonna wrap it up with sports. I talked about the trades, the draft being tonight. For as MLB, the Rays won. The pitching. Mr. Bradley got back on track. He has a very high ERA. It was over 5, definitely. It's almost at 5. So him having a 0 earned run game, and the Rays have been very hot. So I'm proud of my team, my home team. I can't call them my team. I watched a lot of different baseball teams. So how baseball they be like, you got all these people from the East Coast. They be like, this is my team. I'm the Orioles fan. I'm a Yankees fan. I'm a whatever team, Detroit fan, whatever they want to name. Let's spread out. How baseball got. People spread out. People move. So, but I'm definitely happy that the home team is one game away from the number 1 spot in the AL East, and we definitely at the top in the wild card. We're in prime position. Our pitching is rounded. Our hitting definitely rounded out. We started out very, very slow with our bats. So, and then I ain't gonna report on every game, every team, because I have to watch them to report on them. I've been checking the Rays out all year, so I could report on this team. And I'm definitely in Florida, so and it's definitely where the home area I was born in. So I ain't tripping about none of that. But then that's it for today. I know everybody know I try not to be over an hour, but we had to get everything in. A lot of each information that's I'm putting it out there for y'all to really gravitate towards, and y'all pray for my little young men and women out there today. We got a game at 7 in Palm Springs Middle. We're gonna do it up. Shout out to my team. but that's it for today. This is Dynasty the Podcast Show. I'm your host, Ira Bush, and see y'all tomorrow.